Hello guys, happy Saturday night. I am Christina, you are here on the main, and we are making risotto tonight. This was a request from my man Ron up in Sudbury, so I am pumped to bring it to you for you guys tonight. You know, any recipe that involves wine, I am here for. So you can guess what we're about to start with. The most important thing of all, open up that wine, get yourself a drink going. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc to cook tonight, so that's what I'm gonna drink. If you guys are cooking with us for the first time, or if you're watching the rerun of this, I am gonna take you start to finish on how to make an incredible restaurant quality risotto. Who am I? I'm just a really passionate home cook that's tried it all. I'm ultra neurotic about a lot of weird things, so it tends to translate really well to the kitchen because I'm going to show you guys the best way to do something so you can extract the most amount of flavor. And if we're doing something that has a little bit more effort involved, it's probably worth it. So first step, grab yourself a glass of wine. This is gonna be a lot of fun. We're cooking a little bit of salmon along with this tonight. If you're cooking a bigger piece of salmon, I'll show you. I'm cooking 2 fillets right here, and these are big boys. If you're cooking salmon that is larger than this, I would scale up your marinade ingredients because you're gonna need enough marinade to cover the whole salmon. So, that's very nice. First things first as well, you guys know the cutting board moving around on us is not going to help us in any situation. So what I want you to do, grab a little paper towel, run it under the faucet for just a second, squeeze out all of the excess water, and unfold it and tuck it right underneath your cutting board. Now, this is going to ensure nothing is moving around. Your nice sharp knife will stay on the board, and see, now we've got a really solid surface to be working from, and that is absolutely key. Thank you so much for joining tonight, guys. I know we have a bunch of people cooking along. We have Jessica, we have Amanda, Sammy's here. We've got, of course, Ron in Sudbury, and guys, thank you so much. Every time you guys cook live, it just fills me with so much excitement. So we've got our knife, and I want you to grab a pot. So we are using store-bought stock today, and I did say this is going to be restaurant quality. The one place we're going to do a shortcut, just because not everybody's going to have homemade stock, is we're going to use a store-bought stock. So you should all have your container of stock, and I'm going to show you how to bump up the flavor on this stock so it does have more of a homemade taste. In the future, if you have a homemade stock, this is a great time to bust that out. But in the meantime, get a pot that's going to be able to accommodate all of your broth, because what we're going to do is put all of this broth directly in this pot. And just get it in there. Like I said, if you're using homemade stock, you are spoiled. I have lots of it, but we wanted to all be on the same page today because I want you guys to be able to taste how freaking good this risotto is. Now, this I'm just going to put off to the side. Grab yourself a little bowl for your peels and things. You want what I call a garbage bowl. Tuck that off to the side as well. And we're going to start with that onion. If you're working with a medium onion, you're going to use half of it to go into this broth and use the other half for your risotto. If you're working with 2 small onions like I am, I'm going to take one of them. I'm going to slice off the pole end, the one that has that little nubby right there. We don't need that. I'm going to slice right through the middle. The French Riviera. Oh my gosh, Kathy, we are jealous over here in Canada. We're not allowed to leave our house right now. Girl, you are living the life. Hopefully we'll see you there. Actually, here on the main in the Riviera one day. Can we come visit, Kathy? So I just sliced this onion right down the middle, and I'm pulling off the skin, and I'm going to do just a rough chop on this onion, but I'm gonna leave the root intact. Now this is just personal preference, okay? I'm going to slice this down the middle, Again, leaving that root intact, and then I'm gonna kind of just balance it up on the edge and slice it once again. So you'll see, again, however this happens for you is fine. Guys, this is supposed to be easy. And I know a lot of people think risotto is supposed to be very complicated. And I think one of the reasons people find it complicated is that it requires you to stand over it and monitor what's happening. Now, this might be, I don't know, a different opinion or unpopular, but when you do kind of set it and forget it recipes, you have no opportunity to bring it back if things aren't doing well. You have no opportunity to taste it until it's done. So if you messed up at the beginning, you won't know till the end. The nice thing about risotto is that you'll know very early on what's going on, and you'll be able to monitor the process the whole time. So you are never far from perfection with risotto. And I'm gonna show you guys how to get there today. It's gonna be really fun. So I've got this small onion. I'm gonna plop it in. I'm also reading your comments. The French River. I mean, Kathy, let's pretend it's the French Riviera, okay? I mean, I'm going to, maybe one day. Candace is here, hey girl. This is wonderful, and Lisa, and you guys are all here, wonderful. So you'll see, I just popped this onion right into the broth. Store-bought broths come in all shapes and sizes. We want this one to have as much flavor as possible, so that's why we're bumping it up for this risotto. My carrot, I'm just taking the peel off of my carrot into my garbage bowl. And if you have a vegetable peeler, grab it now, even if your carrot is already peeled, because I'm going to show you the best way to add this carrot to this stock to bump up the flavor in a very short period of time. So, carrot, naked now, sorry buddy. I'm going to take my vegetable peeler and I'm going to peel ribbons of this carrot. And I'm just going to peel a bunch of them. I might not use the whole carrot, in which case I'll throw to some other soup later on in the week. I mean, it's winter here in Canada, so soup's aplenty. And I'm just peeling a bunch of this carrot because look, this thin carrot is going to give us a whole lot more flavor than this thick carrot. So the liquid, this chicken broth, is going to just penetrate this carrot ribbon like nothing. And we're gonna get beautiful carrot, sweet carrot flavor right through this broth. So I've got maybe about 10 slices. I'll flip this carrot over and do a few more. You can't screw this up, guys. It's so easy. Whatever you have, if you have a little knob of fennel in your fridge, throw it in there. If you have any other kind of really, delicious vegetables that would taste good in a stock like this, get it in there. Like, you can't mess this up. And this is a very basic flavored risotto. This risotto is almost, this risotto is almost the master base for a risotto. So if you wanted to add mushrooms or something, you would soak the mushrooms beforehand, add them in. I'll show you when you add in your mix-ins, and you have a mushroom risotto. It's really that easy. If you want a butternut squash risotto, same thing. Cook some butternut squash, add it in during the mix-in stage. You can make this risotto taste however you like, as long as you're following the method. So right now we've got our carrot in our pot, we've got our onion. You should have 1 bay leaf. I'm gonna pop that in there, and some parsley. So I've got half a bunch of parsley right here. Mind over Brian. How's it going, Brian? Haven't seen you in a while. We dance together. We do Latin dance, and those socials have not been happening for a while, so there's that. Grab your bunch of parsley and slice it off at the stem. So if you don't have any stems on your parsley, use the leaves. It's fine. Again, I'm just trying to not have any waste here. So by using the stems for our stock, we bump up the flavor on the stock, we make every use of our vegetable, and this is going to be for, we're gonna use some more parsley for our salmon, and we're gonna use some more parsley for our risotto at the end. So I'm going to keep all of this not far from me. This stock is done. I'm actually gonna add just a little bit of black pepper too. You don't have to. It's just sitting here, so I thought I would. And that's it. Like if you have a couple extra garlic cloves, you want to smash them, throw them in here, you could. But I'm going to leave it just like this. I want you to pop this on the stove and bring it up to high. Now, we like to cook with all of our senses here, and that's very important because when you're trying to make a dinner come together, you need to be paying attention. I'm a big advocate for not setting it and leaving the kitchen and going to do something else. This is a great excuse if you want to get out of some chores or someone needs your help and you're like, oh, I don't want help with that. I'm cooking. I got to cook. I got to be at the stove with my wine. So get this broth up to a boil. Once we start to hear it boil and we start to smell it boil, we're going to turn it down to a simmer. We want everything to infuse as quickly as possible so that it's ready for our risotto as soon as we're ready to hit the stove. Next, we're going to prep our marinade for the salmon. Let me know, what did I do with the parsley? I just cut the stems off of the parsley, and I just one chop straight. I just cut the stems off, about half a bunch of parsley, and I threw it into the pot. And guys, something I really want to reiterate here, proportions are not the end all be all when it comes to this. It really is to your taste, and you know, a quarter cup extra of something in a risotto is not going to make or break it. It's going to be fine. There's actually not a lot you can do to screw this up once you know the keys that you're looking for. And if you're heading down that road of things not going in the direction you need them to go, very easy to bring it back. And that's what we're gonna do here. So please keep your comments coming because I'm gonna be able to help you guys along the way. Stems into the pot. Yes, the parsley stems into the pot. You'll see I took out a shallow bowl. You can use, I took out a shallow bowl because this bowl is going to accommodate my salmon. If you're working with a large, I just don't want to dirty more dishes. I'm going to make my marinade in this bowl and then put the salmon in here. If you're working with a larger piece of salmon, get yourself something small that you can make the marinade in. And again, if you're working with a larger piece of salmon, scale up these ingredients. And the same advice applies. You cannot screw this up, guys. So, marinade bowl here. You've got 2 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna show you right now. We gotta pull up our sleeves because what kind of psychopath cooks with their sleeves down? Keep drinking that wine. What are you guys drinking tonight? I got a Sauvignon Blanc from, not from the French Riviera, but from Chile, right? I was thinking that in future cook-alongs coming up in the coming weeks, we can, since none of us are going anywhere anytime soon, we can do an Around the World series and every week cook something from somewhere else in the world. So maybe we'll go to Vietnam, maybe we'll go to Africa, maybe we'll go to Morocco. I love cooking all types of cuisines. Maybe we'll go to India. Yeah, I just thought it'd be fun. Let me know if you guys are into that and something you might like to see. So these garlic cloves, I'm going to show you the easiest way to peel and chop a garlic clove. Garlic right in the center, knife over top, light. I know it didn't sound light, but I didn't use all my might. Kind of medium to light smash. It will release that clove, or sorry, that skin right from the clove. And we'll be able to peel it. I am going to do a second smash on this garlic for the chop, but this kind of medium light smack allows me to get this skin off. So now that the skin is off this garlic, I'm going to give it, again, another more forceful smash. And look what it did. It just pulverized this clove because we want this garlic clove to be in almost a paste. So now when you have your garlic right there in the middle of the cutting board, I want you to take a pinch of your salt. I'm using pink Himalayan today. If you have kosher, that's lovely. If you're using table salt, use less. It's very salty. And look, I just put literally 1 pinch of salt on top of my garlic. And now I am going to start chopping this with my knife. And you'll notice the garlic starts sticking to your knife and all that juice starts to come out of the garlic. That's because the salt is encouraging that to happen. So I'm doing, and you guys always ask, you know, how are you moving so quickly with your knife? Well, look, your knife is designed in a very certain way. It has a notch here. That's where your forefinger goes. I'm not back here working with the knife. If you're holding the knife back here, there's no control. When I'm chopping like that, I'm actually choked right up on the knife. I'm holding the blade. My fingers are not near the blade, and I'm holding the front down with my other hand, and I'm rocking it over this garlic. So just get that garlic chopped as fine as you can. If you have a microplane, you can also microplane the garlic, but just get it chopped. How we doing? Jackson Triggs Reserve Sauv Blanc. Yes. No, Kathy's also drinking gin martinis. Girl, we got to put you in charge of drinks for this show. And we do cook live as many Saturdays as we can manage. Get that garlic into your bowl. We are going to be doing more live episodes, not cook-alongs, but they will be live episodes. So we're thinking, let me know what you guys think about timing. We're thinking Sunday mornings at 10, maybe like a Wednesday at 5, Wednesday at 6, kind of like you would tune into a regular show. Let me know what you guys think. And I do have to say, you're noticing that this stream is extra rock solid. It is thanks in part to Tech Savvy. If you guys are in Canada, you must check out Tech Savvy. They are phenomenal for internet. They fight for the little guys. They're the only ones in this country telling and fighting big telecom to get our rates down. I have Tech Savvy here, and I'm telling you, the internet's phenomenal. My bills are phenomenal. So give them a call. They'll hook you up. My garlic is in here. Next ingredient is the Dijon mustard. Oh, the Hilliers have got some Pinot Grigio on the go. Probably just for one of you. Dijon mustard. Now, if you're working, again, I'm working with two fillets of salmon, so my amount of Dijon mustard might be different than yours. You add extra garlic if you're working with more salmon too, by the way. Like, you can't, it's garlic. You can't screw this up. It's Dijon mustard. It tastes delicious in any quantity. So I'm going to add, let's get this bowl over here. I'm going to add a generous tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And then I'm gonna lick my finger because it's my food. And that's going to stay in there. If you're working with a bigger piece of salmon, go 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. If you're feeding a whole crowd, go 3 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. If I were to put 3 tablespoons or too much Dijon mustard into this marinade, the salmon will not notice. It will just say, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we like it. Lemon. Guys, I love lemon so much. It is my, like, one of my top favorite things in the world. And this is a juicy guy. Like, normally what I would do is I would take this lemon and I would take the palm of my hand and I would roll on this lemon with like quite a bit of body weight. And that would get all your juices flowing in that lemon. If you have a hard lemon, do that right now. Like, you do it yourself. You pass this job off to somebody else. Get that lemon and slice it right down the middle. Give it a roll. Look at this. I barely even have any rind on this lemon. It's so juicy. Keep an ear out too. Don't forget, guys, we're cooking here. We're doing a couple things at once. I'm listening for this chicken broth. I'm looking. Oh, yes. It's starting to come up. I'm going to leave it. As soon as I see that boil, I'm going to reduce it down to a simmer. Did you do celery yet? Not Sam, where you did not do celery yet. That is for the risotto. This guy right here. We're still doing the marinade for the salmon. So what you're going to do is take half of your lemon and squeeze it into this marinade. You want about 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon, depending on the amount of salmon you have. Again, you can't screw this up. Just squeeze half the lemon. If you're using more salmon, squeeze more lemon. You want about equal amounts Dijon and lemon. And this is so nice, like just beautiful. I know I'm gonna have too much marinade, but that's okay. I don't even want to get rid of this beautiful lemon. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, I got a bunch of seeds, so I'm just gonna use my fork. You don't have to take the seeds out, like really. They'll be fully visible. I just have time and I'm trying to go nice and slow for everybody cooking at home. I wanna make sure we're all on the same page and we're getting there at the same time. How are we doing? We're doing good. You guys are great. Okay. So just gonna give this a little light mix. Look how beautiful. Lemon, Dijon, garlic. Guys, heck yes. I'm gonna take a little bit of this parsley. I want about 2 tablespoons. Ah, see? I just heard my chicken broth start to boil. So it's getting reduced down to number 2 on my stove. Keep an ear, you want it to boil. You don't want your chicken broth to boil away because it will start to reduce. So do let it go on a very, very, very low simmer. You're better off to have it lower than higher, even if it's not completely simmering, because those veg are still going to infuse and your liquid won't bubble away. If it does, that's okay. You add more wine. See, I told you, easy. Take a little handful of your wine still in our glass or in broth. The wine is actually going into the risotto, so you don't have to worry about this yet. Just keep drinking it. You only need about a cup for your risotto, so you drink the rest. This parsley, we need to put some parsley into our salmon marinade. I'm also reserving some parsley for the risotto at the end. So start to eyeball, okay, I want a little bit for the salmon, I want a little bit for the risotto. And that's how these things start to come together, guys. Like when you're looking at a recipe, please, a recipe somebody just looked at and went, this is what tastes good to me. You get to decide what tastes good to you. If you're like, I love parsley, I love that freshness, throw in as much as you like. It will not be bad. And I'm going to chop this parsley fairly fine because I want as much of the leaves. The more you chop the leaves, the more the flavor is going to come out. And I want to get it all chopped and into this bowl so we get lots of parsley flavor. And you know, if you've cooked with me in the past, you've heard me say, chop your herbs as close as possible to when you're going to use them. Because now that I've chopped this, the flavor compounds start to oxidize and you actually lose flavor. So that's why you want to chop this. Cherry, how are you? Cherry from Rome. Viva Roma. Lots of excitement over there these days, I hear. I love Rome. It's my favorite place to visit so far. Made some lovely friends there. Cherry and I like to go out and party. Perfect, look at this. I've got this parsley in here. And remember, I already added a sprinkle of salt to this. I am going to season this marinade because this is the only thing that's gonna season the salmon. So I'm going to season this up again with 2 pinches of salt. And I'm gonna dissolve this. If you're using a bigger, that was probably 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. If you're seasoning a bigger piece of fish, I want you to make sure you're putting enough salt in here. The Dijon mustard is salty, and this isn't one of those situations where you have to go overboard, but if you're doing a larger piece of salmon, you're going to need probably closer to 1/4 of a teaspoon. But this is it, guys. Like, give it a taste too. It's your food. Put your finger in it. Oh, this should be so vibrant. The lemon should just right in your face. The Dijon mustard should be mellowed out a little bit. Oh yeah, actually, you know what? I almost forgot. Must be the wine. I'll blame it on the wine. Olive oil. And I'm going to show you how to emulsify this. Give me some thumbs up in the comments, guys. Oh yeah, Jessica knows cherry too. Good life tip. When in doubt, add more wine. Candace, 100%. Like, really? We can't take ourselves too seriously, guys. I used to take cooking much more seriously. Not so anymore. I've come a long way. Grab your olive oil. Give me some thumbs up if you're ready to add your olive oil to your dressing, because I want to show you how to emulsify this. Just so I know we're all there. Thank you so much for cooking tonight, guys. We are making risotto with a beautiful citrusy salmon. You will be able to recreate this risotto anytime. For anybody you love, you're gonna look ultra impressive and it's gonna taste delicious. And just a few ingredients. If you haven't noticed, actually, all of the ingredients we're using for the risotto are pantry ingredients. If you said Parmigiano cheese is not a pantry ingredient, I would say to you, you're not Italian. Start keeping some of that on hand, and you can pull this together anytime. All right, we're ready. Here we go. So because I had 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, about a tablespoon of lemon juice, about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, I am going to try and mimic the amount of liquid I have with olive oil. So I'm just going to pour it slowly while stirring. It will emulsify because you have Dijon mustard in here. It will emulsify very easily. We don't really have to worry about this breaking too much. You want to go for an even amount of olive oil as you had lemon juice. And I had a very juicy lemon. It was actually probably closer to 1.5 tablespoons. But again, you can't screw this up. And I always err on the side of a little less olive oil, and taste it. Oh my God. Please taste it. It's so good. So I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to call that a day. Again, if you add a little less olive oil, a little too much, nothing bad will happen. It will be freaking delicious. And if you're like, I don't like that acidity, add more olive oil. Add a tablespoon of mayonnaise to mellow it out. Like, you need to do what works for you. If you're like, I'd like to have more that garlic flavor, add another garlic. We are going to slice a piece of lemon and put it on top of the salmon, each piece, or a bunch in a row. So save a little bit of lemon for that. You guys are good. Wonderful. I'm so pumped. Okay, so grab your salmon. Make sure you have a plate or marinate it in the container it came in. I'm just gonna marinate this salmon. And I'm gonna put this, oh yes, I'm so pumped. I'm gonna put this flesh side down. We're gonna get it in there. Oh yeah, this looks great. Just get it in there, because this is gonna marinate. It's gonna take us about 15 minutes to make the risotto, so this is gonna have some time to chill. I've got a small sheet pan prepped with some parchment paper. Parchment paper is my favorite thing in the kitchen because it saves me from cleaning up so many things. I love to cook, but I have to say I don't like doing dishes at all. My dishwasher is the workhorse of my kitchen. Guys, this smells so good. I just want to eat it. Okay. Salmon, I'm going to leave. If you have the option to leave it down, go for it. If you're just pouring your marinade over top, perfect. Guys, this is really not supposed to be complicated. I'm going to set this guy just off to the side so that we can keep, oh, I keep dropping things tonight. Okay, again, I'm blaming it on the wine. I'm just going to get rid of this. Let me know you guys are good. Oh, yes. Terry and Dan, chill. They got this. They're in charge. They're going to feed you tonight. You're going to love them for it. I'm enjoying my wine here. I hope you guys are. Now, next step. 2 things. We're going to prep for the risotto, and we are going to preheat the oven for that salmon. I like to cook my salmon high, and that ensures a nice juicy piece of fish. So I'm gonna preheat my oven to 450. Now, I'm very aware that we are all cooking different thicknesses of salmon. And that's why I wanna encourage you guys to watch your food. Don't be opening the oven every 2 seconds. We need to keep the heat in there. And if you cooked me before, you know my oven is not as hot as yours probably. So your salmon might be done before mine, but I'm gonna show you the things that you need to look for, and you're gonna know when it's done. So, how are we doing? Everyone is good, I'm pumped. Okay, you need a small cute plate. Again, if you cook with me before, you know this. I want you to grab a small plate because this is gonna come to the stove with us. This small plate is gonna be for our prep. So, grab either the half of the onion that you had reserved or that small whole onion. I'm cutting off that pole end. This is called the pole end. This is the root end. That dirty end is the root end. I'm gonna leave the root intact. I'm slicing down the middle like always. Guys, like 10 times out of 10, this is how you cut an onion. So Every time I do this, don't be surprised. And here's the thing, if you have shallots, they'll work amazing in a risotto. If you have red onions, perfect, great in a risotto. Whatever you have will work. If you have a sweet onion, if you have a regular yellow, all of it is going there chilling. Oh, I'm glad that you're loving cooking, Lisanne. Whatever you have for onion is gonna work. Also, if you don't like onion, don't use it. But I'm telling you, it is worth it. If you don't like onion, try shallot. It's like a cross between an onion and a garlic. Okay, 2 things. Let me clean up this knife for a second. If you are not able to do this with your knife that I'm about to show you, you probably need to have your knife sharpened, which means you need to get yourself a knife sharpener. I do have one linked below. It's my favorite knife sharpener. It is foolproof. So if you need to grab that, do grab that below, but I'm gonna show you how to do this. So pole end, I'm not gonna cut through just yet. I'm gonna cut through the other end that I cut, and I'm going to just make little slits with my knife. If you can't do this part, just chop your onion as fine as you can, however you can. It doesn't matter. I'm just showing you the easiest way to do it if you happen to have a good sharp knife. So I just made little cuts. Look at that. I made little cuts across the entire knife. Can you see that there? Oh, here. I made little cuts across the entire onion, and then I'm going to slice this way and this way. This will give me the most fine dice, and then I'm gonna slice down. And look, my knuckles are tucked. Again, I have that, that grip happening on my knife. Beautiful, look at that. And I'm just running my knife right through. Discarding the end. Now, I like onion, so I'm going to cut the other half of this. If you don't like onion, this is probably 2 tablespoons of onion. If you don't like onion very much, use however amount you feel is gonna make your food taste good. Like, again, I really wanna reiterate that nothing has to be too serious. Just, oh, risotto, oh, I hear it's so hard. Guys, it's not hard. Restaurants made up that rumor so that you go in and pay $22 for a plate of it. That's not happening here. I've not had wine before for risotto. I've thrown brandy in there. You can actually make a red wine risotto. Like, nothing should stand in the way of you making risotto. I personally always have Arborio rice on hand, and I'll talk about the rice in a minute, but I personally always have that rice. First of all, it doesn't go bad. Get yourself some Arborio rice. Like, it's great. And you always kind of have onions. I always have a thing of broth in the cupboard. Also, to make a vegetable broth, you literally take things like this, boil it, and then you have a vegetable broth. So you could always put together a date night worthy meal, no matter what. So I'm running my knife through this. You guys get your onion chopped nice and fine. You're gonna notice I'm not putting garlic in my risotto. It's just not, I don't find it's necessary. If you want garlic in your risotto, chop up 2 cloves, throw it in. No one will be harmed at all. I'm putting this onion onto my cute plate here. My mise en place, if you want to be precise about it. The celery, right here, we're going to do the same thing. I want you guys to look at how fine this onion is. I want my celery to be well in the realm of this onion. So let me show you. I always just chop off a little bit of that end. I'm chopping first of all, you know how difficult it is to work with a large piece of celery? It's not easy. So I always cut it in half, done. I'm gonna work with half of it at a time. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is just the way that I do it. So please, do whatever works for you. And I see we have 19 people on the chat right now. Guys, thank you so much. My name is Christina. This is our show here on The Main. We cook live on YouTube, showing you how to do food in your kitchen, start to finish. A lot of recipes I find on the internet aren't meant to be recreated, and we make sure you guys can do this at home. It's always restaurant quality, always very, very full flavored. And I do try and do things more on the healthy side. Sometimes if it's kind of a Saturday night, I might throw caution to the wind. If you've seen our creamy pasta diaries, that's what we do there. But here tonight, it is anyone can make this. There's no cream in this. It's healthy enough. I sliced my my celery just down the middle, and I'm just going to run my knife through this celery in any way that it is comfortable. Because celery is a weird thing to slice, and you're going to find that. However you can get this into some thin sticks, just do it. It's really no rhyme or reason. If some aren't as thin as others, don't worry. Again, we're not worrying. This is supposed to be fun. Just cut them as thin as you can manage without driving yourself crazy. That's kind of the litmus test. And guys, you guys are so quiet. I'm assuming that's because you're cooking. How you doing, John and Jess? Ron, I need to know where you're at, Ron. Look, my wine's empty. Look what happened. We need an assistant on this show. Mike's doing great. Great technical production as always, of course. Okay, so now that my celery is sliced ultra fine, I'm going to run my knife through it as well. Again, ultra fine. Like, guys, as fine as you can cut this celery, great. If yours is not as fine as mine, that's okay. It's going to be delicious. Again, when you're working with good ingredients and a few of them, guys, it's not going to be bad. It's not like we're throwing things in here that you don't already like and we're just like, oh, it's not going to taste like celery. Don't worry. You won't even taste the onion. No, you will taste the onion, hopefully. If you don't like onion, don't use it, like I said. Second piece of celery, here we go. And guys, risotto is something my family cooks a lot. I have a brother-in-law who's celiac, and it's a great gluten-free starch to cook that's always delicious. We always use whatever's on hand. And this is the basic recipe that we follow. And I have to say, it's super fun when we do it. My whole family cooks, my dad, my mom, my sister. I love cooking with my sister. Maybe she'll come on the show one day. And what we'll do is we'll all switch off. So for example, like I'll get to my parents and my dad will have all of these ingredients already chopped, and my sister will have gotten there and found things in the fridge to flavor the risotto. And they'll say to me, what else should we do? What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. I'll just start cooking. And then I'll start cooking, and my sister will jump in and my dad will jump in, and we all just kind of switch roles, and it's such a fun night. So if we can do that and switch cooks halfway through, you guys, nothing is going to screw this up for you, I promise. You follow us tonight and you will have a wonderful, wonderful dinner. This is a great one to make. Valentine's Day is coming up. We do have our creamy pasta diaries episode. It's a sun-dried tomato, Asiago, creamy garlic pasta that is phenomenal. We have another pasta, a shrimp scampi linguine that is out of this world, absolutely restaurant quality. You could not buy a better pasta in a restaurant. And I walk you through that one just the same. So lots to choose from. But tonight, it's all about risotto. That ultra creamy, super tender rice with not cut the celery as fine as David. Yeah. David's my man and I do love him. Guess what? The celery onto the cute plate. Look at that. And guys, when you use a few ingredients and you treat them really well, you can really create magic. And like, we're about ready to head to the stove, which excites the heck out of me. Love cutting, but okay, Black & Decker chopper. Yeah, you could use the Black & Decker chopper. Go for it. I don't know how it'll handle the celery, but no judgment here. This celery, I'm just plopping here because we're going to need it. I'm going to bring a few things to the stove. My mise en place, you want that to bring to the stove. You want your celery and your onion. Next, you also want your thyme if you're using thyme. If you're not using thyme, and I get a lot of questions about these jars right here, I did link them down below, so you can definitely check them out. I use them for my spices. I buy all my spices at Bulk Barn if you're in Canada. I don't know the US equivalent, but these are phenomenal. So I'm bringing this over to the stove. If you don't have time, use some rosemary, or use, like, you don't have to use anything, but you can use any spice that you do like, or any herb, sorry, that you do like. If you have any fresh, you have some tarragon, you have some marjoram, herb de Provence would be phenomenal in this, now that I think about it. Yeah, guys, it doesn't have to be that complicated. I'm bringing my salt and my pepper to the stove. And this, oh wow, guys, it smells so good over here. There's a couple ingredients that I want you guys to have on hand that you should have if you're cooking along. 1 tablespoon of butter, unsalted, salted, it really doesn't matter. Who keeps both on hand anyways? Certainly not me. I've got about 1/3 of a cup of grated Parmigiano Reggiano. If you guys are buying this stuff in the shaker, stop. It's not right. And those rinds on the cheese, first of all, that cheese lasts forever. I know it's expensive, but it's an incredible product. I don't know if you know, Parmigiano Reggiano is made from cow's milk cheese, and the cows eat a specific diet from a specific region in Italy, Parma. Like, come on, this is not that expensive. You're gonna use the rind when you're done. Get yourself some good cheese. Life is short. If you really can't afford this cheese, if you're like, oh, it's too expensive, use a little bit of another full flavored cheese. Just the stuff in the jar is not good. So we want these 2 items at the stove. This butter, guys, something is going to happen with this butter that they only do in restaurants and they are not telling you. I promise you, if you're watching this video right now and you're thinking, I know what she's doing, blah, 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 you do not know what's going to happen with this butter, and it absolutely is what's happening in the restaurant. It's going to take this over the top. So bring both of these to the stove so that you're ready. Your olive oil needs to come to the stove. You're going to need a wooden spoon. And that wooden spoon is going, well, if you don't have a wooden spoon, get something wooden spoon-like. If you just have a metal spoon, that's fine. I prefer the wooden spoon, or even I prefer sometimes one of these with the flat edge. I'll see, actually, we're about to actually roll out our own custom products, and I'll see if we can get a beautiful flat edge wooden scraper like this. This one's from Italy, and I picked it up the last time we were there, and I love this one, but I'm gonna use a wooden spoon tonight. So we're ready to go to the stove. We are gonna need to come back to the cutting board briefly when we cut some lemon, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm gonna take a brief moment to talk about the rice. Now, I'm gonna get you really actually close in on this rice, because you need to see this. This is my Chrissy cam. This rice is what makes this extra special. So this is Arborio rice, and Arborio rice is an ultra starchy rice that is going to release its goodness and starch into our broth, and it's what's going to create the creaminess when we start to make this risotto. So here we go, over to the stove. I want you guys to get that saucepan on the stove. I'll show you what I'm using. I am using a wide bottom, shallow saucepan. So I'll show you. It's about 2.5, 3 inches deep. It's as wide as one of my burners. And I'm gonna get this thing onto medium. Medium high, number 6 is where I'm going. I'm gonna grab my wine, because Lord knows we need this. This is great, guys. And you wanna bring your wine to the stove as well, because we're going to have everything happening. It's gonna happen kind of slowly, so we do have time. I'll get my phone so I can see your comments. So keep those coming if you guys are having a hard time, or let me know where you're at. I like this. I will buy this again. I would love to get in the future some people on cooking with us. I think that would be good. People that, I don't know, have different things to say. They talk to us, we watch them cook, people that we find interesting. Why not? Why does it have to be so serious, right? And so I've got my salmon marinating. I've got this pan coming up. Now, I asked you guys to have 2 pieces of equipment on hand. One, a strainer. It doesn't matter how big your strainer is. I happen to have a small one, that's great. And a ladle, because this chicken broth is doing beautiful things right now. Look where we're at with this chicken broth. It should smell just, oh, phenomenal. So there are some really good boxed broths. I'm using the organic Kirkland brand from Costco right now, but look at this. All of these aromatics have given up their flavor to the broth. And what we've gone and done is taken a really nice shortcut, bumped it up with flavor, and now we've got just a beautiful, beautiful stock to work with. Again, if you have homemade, go for it. Like, I'm not trying to, nobody's judging you here. This is A for effort. The reason I have this little strainer that probably could be cleaner, it's live cooking, like what do you want, is because I'm going, when I pour this broth into our risotto, I'm going to pour it through this strainer so that anything that could get caught will get caught. If you do not have a strainer, that's okay. Pour your broth right in. If you get a piece of whatever's in the broth, it's fine. We'll deal with it. You pull it out. If you want it in there, you leave it in there. Again, nobody is concerned about any of this because none of it matters. It's just about creating a really delicious risotto, and these things are not going to impede that. My Arborio rice is right here. This one I'm using is the Scotty brand. My main man, Mario at Misto Fine Foods in Ottawa, hooked me up with this one. He loves it. He said I had to try it. So here I am trying it. I can't imagine it's going to be bad. He would not steer me wrong. And here we go. We're getting the temperature up. Lisanne likes the way I think of the wine at the stove. I mean, do I cook like this every night? No, I don't. But on a Saturday night, we gotta have some fun, right? It's the little things in life. So I'm going to add my heat's coming up. I really want this to get up. I'm even going to bump it up just a little bit because the last thing I want to happen, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to add my olive oil and then my onions and then my celery and have it be flat. I want it to kind of come up and start cooking right away. So don't be afraid to bump up your heat and then bring it back down when you start cooking. That's perfectly okay. That's probably my favorite way to hurry up recipes. So my pan is starting to get hot. So what I'm gonna do is I missed what we need the pan. Yes, Amanda, we want the pan on medium high. Bump it up higher than you think. Go to number 7, number 8, get it up there. And then when it's up there, reduce it back because once you start to add the veg, it'll cool down. So guys, olive oil into the pan. I always measure olive oil in turns of the pan. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 turns of the pan. This is one of the flavors that's going to help us here. So that's about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm turning my heat down because now it's nice and hot. Remember, we just want to cook on medium. And I'm adding my onion, my celery. Listen to that. That's exactly what we're listening for. So what we're doing right now, stir it, stir it, stir it. Reduce your heat. Oh, see, look, I have a chunk of onion. I don't want that. No problem. It comes out. Reduce your heat to medium. We want this to sweat. And by sweat, basically, we don't want to hear an aggressive sizzle. We just want this to start, this beautiful aromatic base to start releasing its flavor into the olive oil. So you could hear it starting to simmer. Look, it's starting to calm down. Let it be calm. Because this is risotto's a slow process. Oh, perfect, my oven is preheated. Now, this is a good time to talk about this. Make sure, guys, better to have your pan a little bit too low than too high right now for this step. Because we don't want any brown to develop. So, oven is preheated. The salmon is only gonna need about 15 minutes. If you have a thinner piece of salmon than mine is honestly, it's probably an inch thick. If you're working with a thinner piece of salmon, maybe a half an inch thick, you want to go for less time. So when I put my salmon in and you have a smaller piece of salmon, I will tell you not to put it in. I'll tell you when to put it in. If you're working with a thick one like mine, then you put it in when I do. Okay, guys, you should be smelling some really delicious things happening. If you're working with thyme or a rosemary or a marjoram or a herb de Provence, now is the time you want to grab that. About 1/4 teaspoon. I just sprinkle it in. I sprinkle in a little pinch of thyme. It's one of my favorite spices, honestly. If you have fresh thyme, I would slip the entire branch right in here and let the branch start releasing its flavor. So here's what we're doing. If you are making any type of risotto, you generally start with onions and some kind of aromatic. Onions and garlic. I'm using onions and celery. I find I really like the flavor that celery brings to this. So that's why, it smells lovely. That's why I'm using onions and celery. Now, if you were using a butternut squash or, oh my gosh, you would make any flavor of risotto. If you were using, like I said, mushroom, or there's basically any vegetable in your fridge. What am I thinking of? Fennel. If you're using fennel, add fennel. Like, this is the time to do all of this. So right now we're just sweating this. I have not seasoned it with salt yet, but I'm about to. Oh my gosh, that smells so good. The thyme is blooming into the oil. I'm gonna take my salt and I'm gonna add about 1/4 teaspoon, 2 big pinches. What we're creating here is a flavor base that is gonna be absorbed by the rice. Risotto is just rice that has been cooked slowly. It's going to absorb those flavors, so you have to make sure this is seasoned correctly. You can definitely barbecue your salmon on a cedar plank. The Hilliers are wondering, for sure. I love doing that. I actually, I don't know if anyone else has done this. I like to crank my barbecue up to extra high. This is gonna sound crazy, but to light the cedar plank on fire, and the smoke just permeates the salmon. It's so good. I love to do that. You can't cook salmon too high. Okay. Key time, guys. Pay attention. Your rice, Arborio, Carnaroli, whatever you're using is going in to the pot. This is a very, very key step with risotto that you're always going to do. You're going to put your rice in. You're going to stir it in with your aromatics. And what's going to happen is that beautifully infused oil is going to coat, that olive oil is going to coat every grain of rice, and you're going to see them get shiny and delicious. Now you're going to toast it. Let it go. Let it sit on the bottom of the pot. Don't stir it every 2 seconds. There's no need. Just let it chill. Let it enjoy its time. What we're doing here is we're starting to develop flavor. With risotto, it's key that you're developing flavor. So you want to think about it. That's why you have to be here for this. You want to think about it, you know. What's happening in the pot? Where am I? How does it sound? How does it smell? You don't want anything to be burning. You don't want anything to be cooking too quickly. You want to be right here watching it, asking. You know, you talk to your plants, talk to your risotto. Are you okay? Do you like what I'm doing? Yes, look, it smells phenomenal. I'm smelling the almost the caramelization of the celery. Like, you're going to notice too, if you bring them in really close here, you're going to notice that certain parts of the rice grain start to go translucent. That is a key indicator that you are on the right track. And here's what I want to tell you, a real pro tip, guys. Like, this is, listen up. If you are cooking risotto and you want to do this for somebody and you want to be ultra impressive, you can actually take it to this point right here and shut off the heat. You could remove this entirely from the heat leave it for later, and then restart. So if you're like, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable doing this while somebody's here, I'm making this for my husband, I'm doing this for this guy I really like, whatever floats your boat, I don't judge you. You can pull this off the heat and this will be good. And then you can resume adding your liquid. This is a beautiful spot to have the risotto. Get it toasted, a few minutes here. We're just about ready to add the wine. The fun is about to start, my friends. The fun is about to start. Everything here under control. Ron would love to see the flames on the other side of the bay. Oh, you guys. Slippery's a great spot. You ever been there? It's a great spot. Guys, I'm going to stand by with the wine. Don't let that rice stick to the bottom. Scrape it up. Get it in there. Stand by with your wine. Now, I told you guys to have a cup of wine on hand, but if you know me, you know what's in my hand right now. It's the bottle. That's because I'm going to free pour this into my pot, and I want you to get to the point where you can free pour this into your pot as well. I'm going to start low. I'm going to add maybe a half a cup of wine. You're going to see this boil violently. So 1 turn of the pan of wine, it's going to boil violently, and I'm going to mix. What's happening here, any liquid you're using, any booze, it's going to evaporate. We want this to all happen slowly. That's why we go a little bit at a time. So I added the wine, it bubbled, it's going to absorb. The rice grains are going to absorb the wine and they're going to release starch. That's why risotto is so creamy, but there's no cream in it. So if you were doing a mushroom risotto and you were working with wine, this would be great. You would add the wine, maybe some mushroom liquid. It'd be beautiful. Look at already, you see on the bottom of the pot, you see how we have I can draw with my spoon? That's because all the starch is getting released. That's how we know it's time to add more. I'm doing another turn of the pan of wine, another half a cup. Oh yeah. And guys, if you add a cup and a half of wine, that's okay. If you only want to add a half a cup, that's okay. You do not have anything happening here that is going to turn on you, because we're here, we're watching. Do you see how I have bubbles breaking the surface? That's what you want to see happening. I have my stove on number 5. I have bubbles breaking the surface. That means the rice is cooking. So unlike when you cook regular rice and you don't stir it, you don't even look at it, you don't even talk to it the wrong way or it's going to turn on you. Risotto, you are constantly monitoring it, you're constantly stirring it. You want to use this nice wide bottom pot because you want to maximize the contact that the rice has with the pan. So you want to maximize the contact. Oh my God, this smells so good. It should smell slightly boozy. That alcohol is going to evaporate, don't worry. It should smell, you should almost get a creaminess of the smell. And I want to show you guys this. The key with risotto that we're always looking for is right here. When you take your spoon at one end, come in here and show them. When you take your spoon at one end and you drag it to the other, you should be able to see the bottom of the pot. I'm gonna add just a little splash extra of wine because I personally like a little bit of a boozier risotto. And you wanna wait till that wine fully evaporates. Again, my heat's on number 5. I'm still watching this salmon. Guys, that salmon's only gonna take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So we're nearly ready to put it in. If you have a thinner piece of salmon, you're gonna be closer to 10 minutes. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come right here. Smells amazing, says Kathy, perfect. I've got my parchment paper with my pan. I'm going to get my salmon onto this pan. I'm going to arrange this parchment so hopefully I don't have to do too much cleaning out. Oh yeah. pour some of this marinade right on top. Keep stirring that risotto. Good things are happening. And guys, because we're bringing an entire dinner together here, I'm going to show you how to do this in real time. That's the benefit of cooking live. There's no editing here. So, salmon is going to wait for me for half a second while I add 1 ladleful of broth. Here you guys go. You're about to learn a new skill. So, my strainer is over the pot. I'm getting 1 ladle full of broth and I'm pouring it into the pot. Second ladleful into the pot. See that? I caught everything right there. Mix that in. Every time you add liquid to the risotto, you're going to stir, you're going to watch, and you're going to see that liquid slowly evaporate. And it's not evaporating, it's getting absorbed into the risotto, and the risotto is releasing its starch into the beautiful liquid, and it's going to get creamy. So let this go now. I don't have to stir this constantly. I'm actually going to leave this for a moment, and I'm going to slice some lemon for the top of my salmon. This is how you bring a dinner together, guys. You get multiple things rocking. So I'm just going to slice these lemons, this piece of lemon, as thinly as I can, not too thin, but just more for, it's going to be very aesthetically pleasing, and it's going to lend a little extra citrus flavor. Beautiful. That's going to be plenty for me, these beautiful lemons. I'm going to bring them over to the salmon. Salmon in the oven soon. Yes, salmon in the oven soon. Beautiful. Look at this. We're putting, the salmon's only going to need 10 minutes, but the risotto is going to need 15. That's why we haven't gone to the oven yet with the salmon. Perfect. I'm just going to tuck those on there. They're not going to hurt anybody. Give that risotto a stir, friends. We're incorporating that broth with the risotto, or with the rice. The smell should be getting very, very good. I personally am going to go in with a little tasting spoon. I love my espresso spoons for that. They're linked below. Perfectly seasoned. If you're seasoning the way that I am, you'll be right there as well. So look, remember, take your spoon, drag it back. I see the bottom of the pot. That means I'm ready for more broth. Right before I do that, my salmon is going to go in the oven. Now, I want you guys to see my salmon. Look at this. It's thick. This salmon, I'm going to do you one better, friends. Hold on, sorry. I'm moving my pan all over the place. Are you ready for this? This salmon is thick. Look at that. 1.5? 1.5 inches thick. Salmon comes in all shapes and sizes. If your salmon is not as thick as this, do not put it in the oven yet. We will have overcooked salmon. I'm putting my salmon in. And I'm setting it at 450 for 15 minutes. At 10 minutes, if you have a thinner piece of salmon, I'm going to tell you, and I want you to put your salmon in. But now it's time to add more broth to this risotto. That's why they say you have to stand here, because every time the broth absorbs, you add more. So I'm going to add another 2 ladlefuls. And don't worry, guys. The thing that they also don't tell you about risotto is it's less about how the exact amount that you're putting in. Like, there is no exact amount for risotto. It's done to taste and to feel. That's why people have such a hard time with it. I'm going to turn my heat down to number 2 because it's quite hot. And I don't want this to be bubbling super hot. So when I say, it's all about the feel and the texture, we don't want this risotto to be mushy. So we want it to cook very slowly, and we want to only add as much liquid as it needs. And when you're adding the liquid to risotto, you don't want it to evaporate too quickly, so you need the heat low. So when you're doing risotto, if you're finding your liquid is evaporating very quickly, you probably have your heat too high. That's why I said you gotta watch your indicators all along in what's happening. You probably have your heat too high. I'm just stirring this every once in a while. That's why I'm standing here. You guys are all doing good, phenomenal. You don't need to be stirring it constantly, but every minute, every 45 seconds, you do need to be stirring it, because those grains from the top need to come down to the bottom. And if you're using too deep of a pot, for example, if I was cooking the risotto in this pot, there's too much happening in the middle that we're unsure about, and we never get that moment of being able to scrape our spoon on the bottom. And that's really, really key, because it tells us when we're ready to add more liquid. And I'm pretty much there, ready to add more liquid. And I'll show you guys again what it looks like if you come here. So you'll see when I scrape my wooden spoon, we're ready to add more liquid. So I'm going to grab my chicken broth, same thing, add it right in. If you don't have a strainer, just pick out anything you don't want. I'm adding 2 ladlefuls right there. And the reason that we put this broth on the heat to add to our risotto is because you're going to fare much better if you're adding warm to warm and not cold to cold, or sorry, cold to warm. So now see, I have very few bubbles. I'm gonna bump my heat up just a little bit to number 4, because we monitor your heat on your end. You wanna make sure your stove is different than mine. So you wanna make sure that you are getting the right amount of bubbling. See, look, I bumped it up 1 little notch and I've got the bubbling, it's perfect. This is great, guys. Better save some white wine for dinner, eh? I'll put it in the fridge. I keep it, actually, I don't know if you guys do this. I keep my wine here in the VIP spot. It's right here. This is the VIP spot. Right here. Its own special place. So, again, we're stirring this often. My salmon is happening. We're not quite at the 10-minute mark. I'll let you guys know when we're at the 10-minute mark. If you have a thinner piece of salmon, you can throw it in. What we're looking for with the salmon is for those proteins, that white stuff. So when you see there's white, the white coming out of the sides and the top of the salmon, that's the protein. The protein is kind of hemorrhaging out of the salmon. And that's what we're looking to have happen. So I'm not going to open my oven because, like I said, my oven is not that hot. So I like to keep the heat in the oven, but I am going to peek. It looks good. Things are happening. Wonderful. I'm stirring this constantly. The smell is phenomenal. How are you guys doing? Let me know. If this is your first time cooking live with us, let me know how it is. Let me know what you guys want to see in future cook-along episodes. This full video will be posted tomorrow after the live, so you'll be able to come back and watch it and make this risotto anytime. But again, the key to risotto is watching, stirring, low and slow. And this is just beautiful. I'm ready for another ladle of broth. Come and see again. Every time you take your spoon and you drag it from one side of the pot to the other and you see the bottom like that, get right in there. Yeah. And you see the bottom like that, see? Any way you go, you know you're ready for more. And if I can do this live and coach you guys through it, you know this is not as crazy as people make it seem. Everyone makes it seem like it's so hard. Again, probably so they could charge you, $22, $25 a plate for it. And I'm squeezing my veg in here too. Putting it back over. If you guys are working with just a pure veg stock, that's great. Mushroom broth. if you have odds and ends in your fridge of different veg and you just want to, again, infuse that veg into a water and create your own broth, like, risotto is beautiful. I once did a risotto with just Parmesan rinds. So I took the rinds of all my cheese. I had an entire bag of rinds in my freezer. I made a broth with them, and then I added that broth to the risotto, and I made soupli. If you have been to Italy or Rome specifically, you know what a soupli is. Little fried rice ball, also called an arancini if you're from the south of Italy. But this is, beautiful things are happening here. And you'll notice this is a lot more risotto than you need for 2 people. So your leftover risotto can be cooked a few ways. 1, you warm it up in a pan with a little bit of water. It'll come right back to life. 2, you take that cold risotto, form a ball. If you've ever done a breading station, so like some milk, some egg, some breadcrumb, coat those balls of risotto or make little patties. It's probably easier to make little patties. Fry them up. You may as well be in Italy if you do that. Stick a little piece of cheese inside, little mozzarella, if you have some Gouda or whatever you have, cheddar even, who the heck cares. It's so good. That's what you're gonna get in Italy. That's what they're gonna charge you $3 a ball for, even at some local spots. That's my favorite, guys, is to cook restaurant quality food at home. Arancini is life, says Candace. Absolutely. It's just fried rice. Every culture has their own version of fried rice. I mean, the Italians just deep fry it. Who's judging though, right? Deep fried rice balls with a little side of red wine. Guys, if you have a smaller piece of salmon, thinner, make sure you get it into the oven now. My salmon is starting to look great. And we can always do more of a deeper dive on salmon. We're just doing the salmon tonight as a, you know, the real star here is the risotto and doing this little master class on how to master this risotto. And don't forget, I have a tablespoon of butter and I'm going to show you what they're doing in Italy that you don't know they're doing. They're doing it every time. So that's key. Make sure you have that on standby. I'm going to give this a little taste with my espresso spoon because, oh yeah, it's not done yet. But I do think this needs a little extra salt because you should start to really taste that chicken broth. And if you're not, it's probably because you don't have enough salt, really. The cheese is a little bit salty, so you have to keep that in mind. But it's very hard to over salt a grain like this because it's kind of a salt eraser. So don't worry too much. Taste it. If the flavors aren't really coming alive, if you're not tasting that wine, if you're not tasting that olive oil and the celery, add a little extra salt. That's probably what's happening. But look, I'm right there again. I need more broth. Come in and see how this looks. It's very important you guys get right in here and see this texture. You can see that creaminess starting to develop. Look at this. We're ready for another ladle full of broth. We're almost going to use this entire thing of broth, guys. I'm going to add 2 ladlefuls of broth. Squish that right out. And give this a beautiful mix. Nearly there, nearly there. Look how nice. This is getting really creamy. Okay, I'm gonna give this one more try. Now, the proper texture for risotto when it's completed is going to be slightly al dente. You're going to taste the smallest nugget of raw rice inside. And when I say smallest nugget, it's not even that the rice is raw inside, it's that it has a resistance. It's not complete mush. That's why it's crucial to eat risotto when it's ready. So when this live stream is done, we will wrap it up relatively quickly. We do have one more thing to prep for this risotto that we're actually going to do right now, just to make sure, because we know things are going to happen quickly when they're done. I'm going to chop up the rest of this parsley. I have about 1/4 cup. I'm not going super fine. I'm getting some of the stems. Come in and show them really closely here. I'm just running my knife through it a few times. This is going to be to stir into the risotto at the end because we're almost there. You can see, not too fine, just nice. Beautiful. Just stunning. Okay, back over to the stove. You'll see, do we need the veg from the broth anymore? No, you don't. You're completely done with that. And because my broth is getting low, as yours probably is, I'm going to just pick up this broth and pour the rest of it in. Turn off this side of the stove. Squeeze this. And this is going to take me to the end. My risotto is going to absorb the rest of this broth. And as soon as it does, we're going to finish it off. I'm going to show you that nice trick. I'm 3 minutes away from my salmon being done. How are you guys doing? You're all doing good. I'm going to peek at this. Oh, guys, this salmon is no joke. It smells so good. Keep an eye. If you're working with a thinner piece of salmon and you're starting to see that white part come up and you're getting a little bit of color on the outside of your salmon, pull it. It's probably done. You're looking for an internal temperature of about 140, 145 with salmon. Guys, I've had, no word of a lie, like 10, 20 thermometers in my life. This is the only one I use now. It is the ThermaPen. I have it linked below. I know it's expensive, but it will be the last thermometer you ever buy, and it will be accurate 110% of the time. So I'm just gonna check. See, you pull it out, it's ready to go. It reads in 2 seconds, literally. So I'm just gonna test it right here. I'm not quite there, so I'm gonna leave my salmon in. I'll pop it down below. I do have skin on my salmon. I'm gonna close that up. So it is gonna be protected on the bottom from the oven. Still stir that risotto. You're still waiting for it to come together. Give it a try. See how al dente you are. Beautiful. You just need a little bit of resistance, not a lot. If you're asking yourself, am I there? I'm not sure. You're probably not there. Because you shouldn't be crunching down. There should just be a little bit of resistance, just barely. I'm gonna let this go. Your salmon, again, depending on thickness, I'm gonna let mine go another 4 minutes. And this is the thing about cooking live, guys. Like nothing is as precise as we hope, right? We're doing it all live together. If you need any help, please let me know. We do try and cook live as many Saturdays as we can manage, where you can get the ingredients, which you find on Instagram. We're always very fortunate to have such a rock solid live stream from Tech Savvy, so thank you. And yeah, I'm not sure what we should make next week. Let me know if you guys have any requests. That is a nice wine. I'll have to buy that. I'd like to get somebody on that's like a wine expert, and we can talk to them. And I'm still stirring this, guys, but if you're finding that all of your liquid has evaporated, add another, and you're not cooked yet, add some extra wine. You can add some water. Whatever you need to do to keep, basically with risotto, all you're doing is you're adding liquid, cooking it slowly until it's at your desired doneness. And again, I'm telling you, a risotto should be al dente, but if you like it mushy as hell, make it mushy as hell. You're eating it. You do whatever you want. But I'm there. Like, mine is done. I'm looking at this, coming real close. I'm gonna show you. When I pull this back, Do you see how the liquid is just kind of rushing into the middle? That's because I want this to retain its creaminess. Look how creamy. I'm gonna shut this off because there's a lot of residual heat that's gonna work. Keep an eye on that salmon, guys. If your salmon is thin, it might be done. Mine is thicker. This seasoning is perfect. The chicken broth flavor is so pronounced. I'm going to add a few things to this now. I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper, freshly ground. Right here. A little bit of pepper. And my cheese. Get that cheese in, guys. So I'm adding Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm adding about 1/3 of a cup. If you want to add more, you add more. I am not the cheese police. If you have Pecorino Romano, that's a saltier cheese, you add less, but it's also very delicious. Look what that did for the texture. Holy moly. Now, I promised you guys a secret that you will never hear anywhere else. That's because they don't want you to know. Grab that butter. We need a tailgate theme for next week's Super Bowl. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Butter in. This sets the texture of the risotto. Now, people around you might be alarmed, but guys, you need to whip this butter into this risotto. Try not to splash. Get right around. This butter is going to add a little extra shine. You can hear I'm working here, guys. This is the secret ingredient. It's a little extra butter at the end of the risotto. And a good whip to set the texture. Listen to that sound. That is creamy. I spilled a little over here. You know what that means? It's mine. Oh my God. Whew. Oh, that is perfection. Holy moly. Chicken marsala. It's a great idea, Marvin. This risotto, fire. Last thing, that beautiful parsley we reserved. Ooh, there goes my timer. We're right on time, guys. Stir that parsley in. Oh my God, take this off the heat. Look at my mess. Do you have a mess? It's a good kitchen if you've got a mess. I'm gonna check. Oh yeah, the salmon is bubbling. It looks great. I'm gonna give it a final little temp. This needs to go a few minutes. Just gonna pop it back in. If you're still on your salmon, no worries, let it go. This risotto will be just fine. I told you I had a thick piece of salmon. This is beautiful. Oh my God, I just want to eat it. I'm just gonna eat a little bit, okay? Don't tell anyone. Oh, that is so good. Guys, slightly al dente, beautifully creamy. Let me know where you guys are at because I want to make sure everybody wraps this up just nicely. If you need a Valentine's Day recipe, if you need a good date night recipe, I mean, hello. You want to serve a little extra cheese on top, you can do that as well. I'm going to take out, I'm a little bit torn. Should I use a bowl or should I use a plate? Use a plate. I love this, guys. I'm obsessed with drawers. Like, how do we get every kitchen to have drawers? It's amazing. So, I am going to use a plate. I'm going to bring my risotto over. This is beautiful. Oh, yes. If you're already eating, please eat. Do your thing. I'm going to start to serve this up in just a second. I just wanted to give that salmon another extra minute. How are you guys doing? Let me know if you're okay. Ron, how you doing? John and Jess, Amanda, Jess. Make sure you tell me. Lisanne, are you guys good? I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in tonight. This has been so much fun. I'm not signing off just yet because I want to show you guys a salmon when it comes out. Absolutely phenomenal. This marinade works really well on any type of fish. If you guys have some halibut, if you have some cod, I mean, shrimp would certainly not turn their nose up at this. Oh yeah, that looks incredible. I am gonna take this out. Oh yes, that smell. And I'll show you guys really quick. This is what I mean by this white stuff starting to come out, this protein on the salmon. Oh yeah. Wow, the lemon flavor was just phenomenal. The Hilliers are saying their kitchen smells amazing. That is music to my ears. Okay, here we go, guys. This is it. This is it. Get your spoon. Serve this up. Here we go. Be as generous as you like because you are eating at home, my friend. You did not order takeout from a restaurant. Oh yeah, look at that. Generous. Be very generous. Oh my God, what a beautiful piece of fish. Hello, sir. I gotta take a bite of this. It's hot as hell. I just feel like it's the cooking show thing to do. You know? You gotta take a bite. We gotta show everyone what they missed. Thank you, Lisanne. I'm glad you had fun. Jessica, wonderful. Hillier's perfect. Sam Francis, enjoy your time, my friend. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I mean, I'm gonna eat, are you? Risotto masterclass. Real time, because you gotta cook in real time. Holy crap. I'm gonna try the salmon. Flaky. Get in here, you gotta see how flaky this is. Come here. This is a beautiful organic salmon. Look at that. Bam. Look at that. It does not get much better, my friends. You know what they would charge for a giant piece of organic salmon like this in a restaurant? I don't want to find out either. Here we go. Thank you so much. Guys, we try and cook live as many Saturdays as we can. Thank you for joining us. Links below for any awesome kitchen equipment that you need. Thank you, Tech Savvy. I'm gonna eat dinner. You have a great night and we will see you next week. I am Christina. You, my friends, are here on the main. Bye-bye.